Imagine for a second that your slightly off-key singing in the shower could lead to a fine, or that sharing your Netflix password is considered a federal crime. Sounds crazy, right? Welcome to the United States, a country so devoted to the law that over centuries it has created a true masterpiece of legislative absurdity. We have gathered 50 of the most ridiculous and amusing laws. The first law is from Carmel by the Sea, California. Women are prohibited from wearing high heels over 5 centimeters without a special permit. This is not an attempt to impose a strange style. It is a legal move to protect the city from lawsuits. Due to the uneven cobblestones in Carmel, people often fall in stilettos. To avoid lawsuits, heels were simply banned. You can get a permit to wear heels for free at the city hall. It is a bureaucratic way of saying, you have been warned. If you fall, now it is your responsibility. The second law from Gainesville, Georgia. You are required to eat fried chicken with your hands. Using a fork and knife is prohibited by law. Such a strange law seems amusing, but it highlights the traditions and cultural features of a region where sincerity and simplicity in food are valued. These unusual laws are just a small part of a quirky legal system that can both surprise and entertain residents and visitors of the country. We will continue to explore the strangest and most absurd legal norms of the United States that can unexpectedly affect your daily life. Follow our stories, because sometimes the truth is indeed stranger than fiction, especially in the world of legislation. In Gainesville, carrying a knife is strictly forbidden. This might sound like a joke, but in 2009, a 91-year-old tourist was playfully arrested for breaking this unusual law. This law was originally passed in 1961 as a publicity stunt to promote Gainesville as the poultry capital of the world. It worked perfectly. Decades later, people still talk about Gainesville, a town that takes finger-licking chicken etiquette so seriously that it is a matter of law. Number 3, it is technically a federal crime to use a fake name online. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986 forbids unauthorized access to a computer. This law can be interpreted as violating a website's terms of service, since most sites require accurate information. Your clever pseudonym could be a breach. Will the FBI break down your door because your Twitter handle is PizzaFanatic69? Probably not. But legally, they have an excuse. So all you eagle-eyed patriot 1776 commenters, know that you are technically rebels with a cause when using pseudonyms online. Number 4, in Minnesota, it is illegal to stand around any building without a good reason. This law targets loitering, but is vaguely worded. What counts as a good reason? It might be admiring a window, but the law leaves room for many interpretations and endless debates. Waiting for your Uber or practicing your Oscar speech depends entirely on the cop nearby. Public sidewalks become stages where improvising a convincing alibi is your best defense. Like telling yourself you're contemplating the economic symbolism of a hardware store to avoid suspicion. This quick thinking turns ordinary moments into theatrical performances. In Oklahoma, eavesdropping can get you fined. The law forbids secretly loitering near buildings with intent to overhear conversations and then spreading the information. Essentially, this law targets professional gossipers. It's not just about listening, but having the intent to annoy or harm others by repeating what you hear. The legal system's way of saying, "Mind your own business, Brenda." It protects privacy by discouraging malicious eavesdropping and gossip spreading. In Tennessee, sharing your streaming passwords is illegal, even with family. Originally targeting hackers, this law now criminalizes casual sharing among relatives. If your cousin in Chattanooga watches Game of Thrones on your HBO account, you're technically part of a digital crime ring, according to the law. It's like a cyberpunk story, but with more snacks and fewer explosions, turning everyday streaming into a high-tech crime drama. In Aspen, Colorado, in some places, throwing snowballs at people or buildings is prohibited by law. It is considered projectile throwing, like stones or bricks, which makes the game dangerous and illegal. Imagine, children are playing snowballs, and an officer approaches and issues a fine for using forbidden frozen projectiles. It ruins the whole joy of a winter day. In the state of Arizona, it is forbidden to allow a donkey to sleep in the bathtub. This law originated from an incident in the 1920s when a donkey got used to sleeping in an old bathtub on a farm. One day, after a dam broke, the bathtub with the donkey was washed down the valley. The residents spent a long time rescuing the animal, and to prevent this from happening again, they banned donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs. In a small town, a law was introduced prohibiting donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs to avoid such ridiculous situations in the future. It's impossible to invent such laws, but they really exist. In Blythe, California, it is forbidden to wear cowboy boots if you do not own at least 2 cows. This law sounds like a joke, but it is real. This law emphasizes the connection of cowboy boots with genuine cattle ranching and is an interesting local rule reflecting the traditions of the region. The legislation introduced amusing rules against cultural appropriation in the ranch style. The city council wants only real ranchers to wear the iconic cowboy boots. Do they check livestock ownership documents at city borders? Or is there a database of cow owners? Most likely not. But the idea is funny. This is an attempt to preserve the authenticity of cowboy style in a world full of urban imitators and fans of the Western lifestyle. In Alabama, it is forbidden to drive a car with your eyes covered. This is a law that seemingly should never have existed. This means that at one time the problem was serious enough to be formally prohibited. This thought is scarier than the law itself. In the state of Washington, it is forbidden to harass Bigfoot. If you encounter Sasquatch in the forest, you must not disturb him. Officially, in Skamania County, Bigfoot is recognized as an endangered species, and its persecution is considered a serious offense. Violators face criminal liability for disturbing the legendary creature in its natural habitat. If you see the big guy, stay calm. No taking photos without permission, no asking for autographs, and absolutely no attempts to collect DNA samples. Just nod respectfully and move on. In New Hampshire, if you live together as a couple for 3 years and tell others you are married, the law recognizes your marriage. This is called common law marriage. In North Carolina, singing off-key is illegal. An old ordinance in an unnamed town bans loud, strange noises or boisterous singing in public streets to prevent disturbances. The law's wording off-key is very specific, suggesting tone-deaf singers might face fines. However, this recognition only takes effect after the death of one of the partners. The survivor can claim the inheritance as the legal spouse. The state says, if you behave like a family, we will make it official for the documents. It's like a marriage certificate you didn't ask for. In Arizona, it is illegal to hunt camels. Many are surprised if there are camels in Arizona, and the answer is yes, but in a somewhat unusual way. In the 1850s, the U.S. Army brought camels to transport goods across the desert. When the Civil War began, the project was abandoned. The camels were released into the wild, and for some time they roamed the Southwest. The law was passed to protect them. There are no camels now, but the law protecting them is still in effect. This is an unusual example of preserving an old law. In the city of Darby, Kansas, squealing tires is prohibited. The law explicitly states that unnecessary tire squealing is considered a violation. This is not just about drifting in parking lots. Even a sudden sharp start from a traffic light can lead to a fine. This is a real blow to teenagers' dreams of a dramatic getaway. In Darby, all departures must be quiet, neat, and decent. The law strictly regulates behavior on the road. In Chicago, it was forbidden to be ugly in public for decades. This is not a joke, but a reality since the late 19th century. Until its repeal in 1974, the ugly laws were in effect. These laws aim to hide people with disabilities and physical deformities, a dark and neglected chapter of American law. It is a frightening reminder of how far society has come in terms of acceptance and equality. In the state of Wisconsin, it is forbidden to serve margarine instead of butter in restaurants, unless the customer specifically requests it. Wisconsin is known as the dairy capital of America, and natural products are especially valued here. The state of Wisconsin law protects honor by strictly prohibiting the replacement of genuine oil with a counterfeit without the buyer's consent. Violators face fines for such deception. This is an expression of state pride, guaranteeing that the quality of Wisconsin oil will not be undermined by a cunning, oily imposter. If a restaurant decides to switch to counterfeit oil without permission, owners risk fines. Such dedication to dairy products deserves respect. In the state of Maine, leaving Christmas lights on after January 14th can result in a fine. This is not just a complaint, but a law. In South Burek, Christmas decorations like twinkling reindeer and inflatable Santas have a legal lifespan. If you forget to remove your decorations on time, you become a holiday lawbreaker. It's a choice between laziness and civic responsibility. In Texas, it is forbidden to milk someone else's cow. This law seems to have been written by a tired cowboy fed up with such violations. This is not just milk theft, but a violation of personal property and trespassing on someone else's land. The fine for such a violation can be as little as $10, which seems a small price for such audacity. It is technically a federal crime to write on a dollar bill. Drawing a smiley face on Abraham Lincoln is considered a federal offense. The law forbids mutilating, cutting, defacing, disfiguring, or perforating currency. The Treasury Department states they don't care unless there's fraudulent intent. The law is incredibly broad. Every time you see a "Where's Georgia" stamp, you witness casual federal law breaking. In Baltimore, Maryland, it is illegal to bring a lion to the movie theater. Some laws come from caution, others from very wild events. This ordinance raises many questions. Did someone try this? Was the lion a paying customer? Did it share the popcorn? The world may never know. In Massachusetts, fans are forbidden to swear at players during sports games. If enforced, Fenway Park would be completely silent. The law prohibits cursing at or taunting any player, coach, or official involved in athletic contests. This keeps the game respectful and clean. Imagine a game between the Red Sox and the Yankees where the entire crowd is required to express their irritation in polite and harmless language. This idea seems deeply un-American in its essence. In Alaska, it is forbidden to wake a sleeping bear for a photo. This law is a wonderful mix of common sense and modern foolishness. The rule is not just about banning touching the bear, but specifically about banning it for the perfect social media shot, even if it is life-threatening. Alaska had to introduce this law against waking a 1,000-pound death machine because people needed to be told the obvious. In New Jersey, it is forbidden to pump your own gas. For the rest of the country, this seems like a completely incomprehensible rule. New Jersey is one of 2 states where gas station attendants are legally required to serve drivers. The law was passed in 1949. The law was supposedly introduced for safety reasons, but remains due to public support. It is a strange legal luxury that turns refueling into a mandatory service. Every driver in the Garden State becomes a spectator of their own refueling process, turning a simple task into a mandatory transaction. In Madras, Oregon, you cannot walk backward while eating a donut. This is the pinnacle of legislative absurdity, without any known reason or tragic case. There is no story or incident related to this ban. It's simply a pure, inexplicable rule without an apparent purpose. Maybe it's made to avoid pushing through crowds? Or is it a fight against multitasking? Or did a council member just have a very strange dream? Whatever the case, this is a perfect example of a law that exists solely to make you wonder. Why? In San Francisco, it is forbidden to wash a car with used underwear. This law is so specific that it seems like a work of art. You can wash a car with a new pair of underwear without problems, but if they are worn, they are considered an unacceptable means of cleaning the vehicle. This law was most likely enacted as a public health measure for car washes. But the wording creates an unforgettable image. This is a solution for a very, very strange problem that is hard to imagine. In Idaho, it is forbidden to give a loved one a box of chocolates weighing less than 50 pounds. This ordinance was passed as a joke during an early 20th century legislative session to promote the state's sugar beet industry. It was never meant to be enforced seriously. This law remains a testament to a time when lawmakers had humor and a commitment to grand romantic gestures. A standard box of chocolates is considered a misdemeanor. In Florida, it is illegal to park your elephant at a parking meter without paying. If you travel with an elephant in Sarasota, you must feed the meter. This law comes from Sarasota's history as winter headquarters for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Elephants used to parade through town regularly. The ordinance was a practical but surreal way to regulate elephants parking in the city, reflecting the circus's influence on local life. In West Virginia, it is illegal to hunt with a ferret. The law bans using ferrets to pursue, catch, or kill wildlife. Ferreting, once a noble art of rabbit flushing, is now considered cheating under this law. Dogs are still allowed for hunting, but ferrets are banned. Guns are acceptable, but sending a weasel into a burrow crosses a line. This is a firm stand against mucilate-assisted hunting and letting critters do all the hard work. In South Carolina, holding a dance party on a public pier on a Sunday is illegal due to old blue laws. These laws enforce religious standards. Many old laws have been repealed, but the ban on Sunday pier dancing remains. You may stand, fish, or contemplate the ocean, but not dance on Sundays. Dancing on the pier on Sunday breaks the law. It creates a legally mandated buffer between you and your weekend fun in South Carolina. In Rhode Island, it is illegal to throw pickle juice at a trolley. This strange law suggests an interesting backstory. Was there a serial pickle juice assailant terrorizing Providence's public transit? Or a protest movement? Or an angry deli owner with a grudge? Whatever the cause, this incident was significant enough to earn a special place in Rhode Island's legal code, forbidding throwing pickle juice at trolleys. In Arkansas, a man, text is incomplete, waiting for continuation to proceed. In one state, there is a terrible and disgusting law that allows a husband to beat his wife, but only once a month. This law reflects a cruel past. Today, such a law is almost impossible to enforce due to modern domestic violence laws, but it is allegedly still listed in official documents. This law is not just ridiculous, but rather a creepy historical artifact, reminiscent of a time when violence was not only tolerated, but also regulated. In the state of Utah, causing a catastrophe is illegal. This law is surprisingly vague and includes the use of weapons of mass destruction or other destructive means. Other means a lot. If you clogged all the toilets at a public event, you might have caused a catastrophe. The law sounds like it was written by someone who wanted to anticipate any situation, even the most apocalyptic and unlikely. In the state of Georgia, it is forbidden to live on a boat for more than 30 days a year. This law aims to regulate such a lifestyle. In the state of Georgia, it is prohibited to turn waterways into floating trailer parks. A freedom-loving sailor dreaming of living on the water is told, "Not so fast." After a 30-day trial period of pirate life, one must return to land. This is a measure to prevent people from permanently anchoring in their marinas. In the state of New York, it is forbidden for 2 or more people to wear masks in public places. The law was passed in the year 1845. The law is intended to stop uprisings of masked tenants. Now it causes inconvenience when people wear bandanas at protests or organize superhero flash mobs. This is an old-fashioned anti-uprising law that clashes with modern cosplay. Somewhere, Batman is already preparing an appeal to the state legislature. In South Dakota, it is forbidden to fall asleep in a cheese factory. This is not just a labor safety rule, but a state law. The logic of the law is clear. No one should fall into a vat of cheddar. The specificity of the law makes it unique and amusing. This law paints a picture of a state so devoted to cheese production that it bans narcolepsy in the presence of whey and curds. In South Dakota, there is an idea that cheese never sleeps, and neither should you. It's like a symbol of the state's tireless life energy. In Nevada, it is still technically forbidden to use an X-ray machine to determine shoe size. It resembles a strange law from the past. In the mid-20th century, shoe stores used X-ray fluoroscopes to show how feet fit into shoes. It was a trendy but dangerous technology. This technology exposed people's feet to unregulated radiation and was a terrible idea. The machines were banned nationwide due to health hazards. Despite the national ban, Nevada passed a separate law to prevent any shoe sellers from reusing X-rays. In Kentucky, it is illegal to dye ducklings blue and sell them if you sell fewer than 7. This is one of the strangest loopholes in U.S. laws. Selling 1 blue duckling is a crime, while selling more than 6 is a legitimate business. The law aims to ban dyed chicks and ducklings as Easter souvenirs. One of the mysteries of this law, why it is allowed to sell more than 6 painted ducklings, remains unknown. This is a true paradox of American law. In Texas, it is forbidden to sell your own eyes. This law sounds strange, but this is exactly the prohibition in the state. There is a general prohibition against organ trafficking in the state's penal code. It specifically forbids selling one of your eyeballs, marking it off limits for commerce. You can legally sell your blood plasma, bone marrow, and hair. But if you try to sell your own cornea, you cross a clear legal boundary. This creates a strange legal situation where your body is a boutique of sellable parts, except for one very specific glassy item, mysteriously not for sale. In Illinois, it is illegal to give a lit cigar to your dog or cat. This law is a masterpiece of specificity and quite unusual. A regular unlit cigar is allowed, cigarettes are not mentioned, but a lit cigar given to a household pet is where Illinois draws the legal line. One must wonder what dapper cigar-smoking cat inspired this law. It protects pets from bad habits, likely picked up from interesting owners. In Oregon, it is illegal to create or spread false news. This law was written long before the internet, but remains relevant today. The law specifically prohibits communicating any false factual statements with the intent to deceive or cause harm. The law against causing false alarms aimed to stop pranksters from shouting fire in crowded theaters. But today, it criminalizes much of social media activity. It is a relic from a more optimistic legal era. In Michigan, it is illegal to willfully destroy public utility property, which includes stealing Wi-Fi. Using someone else's internet without permission is considered a digital crime. Borrowing open Wi-Fi to download movies is seen as property destruction or theft of service. The free internet you use might actually be a misdemeanor you haven't been caught committing yet. In Eureka, California, falling asleep on a public street is illegal. The law bans using streets as beds, so even napping on a bench can get you fined. Imagine resting after a hike in Eureka, enjoying the breeze and seagulls' songs, only to find out you are breaking the law by simply drifting off to sleep in public. In Louisiana, it is prohibited to send pizza to someone's home without their knowledge. This law arose as a reaction to the era of mass pizza pranks. The ban concerns the practice of pizza bombing, when someone orders many pizzas for an unsuspecting recipient. It became such a problem that a law had to be enacted. Although this is unfortunate for pranksters, It is good for those who do not want to deal with a puzzled courier and unwanted anchovy pizzas. In Massachusetts, it is forbidden to snore in a way that disturbs others if all the bedroom windows and doors are not tightly closed. This law addresses the most intimate aspects of living together. It regulates not only snoring, but also the architectural sound insulation. If you snore loudly, you are required to hermetically seal the room so that your nighttime sounds do not become a public nuisance. This is possibly the first law in the world requiring acoustic engineering to combat sleep apnea. In Maryland, fortune tellers can work, but they are prohibited from. There is a fascinating legal paradox about fortune telling. State laws allow individuals to get a license for fortune telling to warn and advise clients legally. However, charging money to predict specific future events, like winning the lottery or meeting a stranger, is a punishable offense by law. They can analyze your past and comment on your present, but the future must remain an unprophesied, tantalizing mystery according to the law. In several towns across Florida and Louisiana, wearing saggy pants that reveal underwear is outlawed and considered a criminal offense by local laws. Supporters say these laws promote decency, while critics argue they promote profiling. Either way, low-hanging pants could lead to a fine. In these towns, even your pants must follow the rules, showing how fashion can become part of legal regulation. In Glendale, California, it is illegal to jump out of a moving car traveling at 65 miles per hour, a highly specific and unusual law. This law targets an act that is already dangerous and self-punishing, highlighting the city's unusual need to formally ban it. This law either came from someone trying it or deep concern someone might. It says, "We know this is a bad idea, but we write it anyway." We've examined 49 pieces of legislative madness, and only the grand finale remains. Before number 50, it's time for the final verdict. The award for the most brilliantly ridiculous law goes to Carmel, California, for requiring a permit to wear high heels. Why? Because it's not just a ban. Instead of fixing bumpy sidewalks, the city reclassified wearing high heels as a licensed activity. This way, they avoid liability cleverly. In the United States, public kisses are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. This is a relic of old-fashioned moral laws, a double restriction on romantic displays. Firstly, this law discriminates against men with mustaches, a strange manifestation of legislation against mustached men. Secondly, it strictly limits the time of public displays of love. Firstly, this law discriminates against men with mustaches, a strange manifestation of legislation against mustached men. Imagine a police officer with a stopwatch, counting the time, a couple hugs, and shouting, "All right, you two, stop. You've exceeded the legal limit of kisses." Here are 50 examples from the magnificent, chaotic, and often absurd legal fabric of the USA, where strange laws intertwine with everyday life. From cowboy boots to sleeping bears, this system proves that for every logical problem, there is an illogical law ready to appear. If you could introduce one absolutely absurd law in your city, what would it be? Write to us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through legal chaos, support us by clicking the subscribe button. You won't want to miss our new discoveries.